Hello and welcome back, and happy December the 1st. And we all know what that means. It's not only the wind down to the end of the year, it's Dramvent day number 1. So, as I've said multiple times, I don't know what I'm going to do with that. Go away. I'm doing the Whisky Explorers Advent Calendar from Master of Malt this year. So that's the cheap option because I feel like we're all feeling the pinch from the way things are at the moment. We can all do with saving a little bit of money, but we also need nice things, and hopefully there are 24 nice things inside this. So first things first, before we get carried away, there is something that I need to do. No, that's not right. No. No. That's better. Definitely in the Christmas spirit now. So, day number 1, wherever that is. This calendar, famous last words perhaps, but it feels like it's going to be easier to get in the doors this time. Less wrangling and ripping the front off compared to the previous 2 years, because believe it or not, I have been doing this for 3 years now. 3rd Advent calendar. So, in terms of blinds, I don't think I'm going to be doing it all blind. I think I'm going to give myself a rest some days, but definitely do some of these blinds, and I think we'll start with a blind today. As for what we expect to get out of this Advent calendar, the ABV is reasonably high on this one, despite it being the cheapest one at £99. I think the average ABV was it 45? Can't see it. It's probably on that bit that I threw away. But I think the average is 45, so that means, well, there should be a bit of a spread around 45. Maybe some 43s, perhaps 1 or 2 40s, but hopefully some high strength stuff in there as well. Fingers crossed. Being the Explorers Advent Calendar, it's almost certainly not all going to be Scotch in there. There's probably going to be some world whiskey, perhaps some bourbons, maybe some Japanese whiskey, maybe some grain whiskies, hopefully some English whiskies. But all conjecture. I'm guessing that most of it is probably going to be reasonably mass-produced, available stuff though. Probably not too many independent bottlings or anything like that. It's probably going to be mostly stuff that we've heard of, mixed with a few world whiskies, I would guess. So, day number 1. It is day number 1, isn't it? Where the hell is it? Oh, it's the bit that I folded in. I thought I'd opened a blank door. Day number 1. Let's see what we've got. I'm going to pour half of that, so we've got something to come back to if we need to. As before, label away and we'll put it behind there without knocking over all the whiskey jugs. So, medium gold colour. Does it look chill filtered? Not really. I don't know actually, it's a bit hard to tell with that small quantity. It looks reasonably clear, like it could be moderately chill filtered. Sweet nose. Sweet, slightly fudgy. It doesn't smell overly old. As I was saying that, I think it's opening up a bit now. Already. Quite fruity, floral sherry, I think. It smells like Scotch. Or at least something made in the Scotch style, because there are so many countries producing whiskey now, and to be fair, and why wouldn't you, a lot of them are producing Scotch style whiskey. It smells sherried, malted barley spirit. I think a combination of bourbon and like sweet oloroso, floral, slightly effervescent, confectionery, jelly bean sherry, slightly soapy, but very sweet, very playful. Probably 10 to 12 years old. And just from the nose, I'm going to say not overly strong. I don't think this is 46%. Let's see how it tastes. Bit of milk chocolate on the nose, perhaps. Milk chocolate, fudginess. A little bit of a short finish. Not a huge amount of body, definitely not 46%. I think 43 or possibly even 40%. And there's little hints of youth keep coming out. When I first nosed this, to be honest, it was fudgy and a little bit cardboardy, seemed young and not that great, but as it sat in the glass for a little while, even these few minutes that I've been nosing and tasting it, it started to come through with that playful, floral, sweet and juicy Oloroso type sweet sherry. And similar thing on the palate, I think. There's a little bit of cardboardy youth and damp oak, probably about 10 years old. Gonna have another sip. I was kind of hoping it's going to really open up and the second sip was going to be better than the first, because the second nosing was much better than the first, but it hasn't really done that. It's not got the wonderful flavours on the palate that it has on the nose. I hope that you guys have been able to get some of these and you're tasting along with me. Hopefully a fair few of you have managed to get the Explorer's Advent Calendar, and I really hope that the same drams in the same order. It's going to be really annoying if not. But that sherry on the nose is beautiful. A little bit of strawberry jam, very sweet, sugary, playful sherry, slightly soapy, effervescent, chocolatey, floral, wonderful. But the palate, it seems a bit young on the palate. The palate leads me to think probably 40%, maybe 10 years old, or maybe even a little bit younger. I think this is what you quite often see with lower strength whiskies. They smell fantastic, but then when you taste them, it's a little bit of a disappointment. Definitely a bit of a letdown on the palate there, compared to how wonderful the nose is. Based on the nose of this whisky, if it is Scotch, it's going to be one of the Scotch distilleries that do the really heavily sherried, sweet sherried styles. So you'd be looking at possibly Glenallachie, but I think everything they do is a bit stronger than this. Is there like a 10-year-old Glenallachie which isn't cask strength? I'm not sure. If there is, I probably haven't had it. Possibly Glendronach. What other really heavily sherried distilleries are there? Benrinnes. It's in that ballpark, but I don't think it's Benrinnes. Of course, on the other hand, that it could just be a standard 10-year-old whiskey that's had a sherry finish, because there's lots, probably hundreds of different sherry, young sherry finished Scotch whiskies out there. So I think probably best that we have a look, see what we've got. Glendronach 12-year-old. So I did mention Glendronach. To be honest, I remember Glendronach 12-year-old being a bit better than that. And it is 43%. Really, really nice nose. Glendronach 12-year-old is one that I've always recommended if you want a really heavily sweet sherried style whiskey. Glendronach 12 is fantastic. And the nose is fantastic. To be fair, I think the palate is coming through a little bit. But it is what I always say, when you get a lowish strength whiskey, and this is only 43%, you don't get the palate that backs up the flavours on the nose. And I'm a little bit surprised at that, because I always thought that Glendronach 12-year-old was one of those lower strength whiskies that did really well considering that low strength. But it's still good. Glendronach 12 is one that I've always liked, and I still like it. Especially the nose. You could just sit and smell that for hours. Not really, not hours. But you could spend a good quarter of an hour just nosing that and enjoying the aromas that you get off it. Because it's that good. Glendronach obviously are one of the modern greats when it comes to sherry matured whiskey. So if you have been tasting along with me at home and you like this, I'd absolutely recommend trying Glendronach 15-year-old. If you can get any of the cask strength Glendronachs, they're fantastic as well. As for this, good whiskey. Not disappointed with that at all. So, great start to the £99 Advent calendar. Let me know what you thought of this. If you've been tasting a lot at home, let me know what you think of Glendronach and Glendronach 12-year-old, and I'll see you tomorrow. Cheers.